have for Nick. Did Billings get sued by Outcast for that flag? A cease and desist letter coming from the Stankonia peeps asking about this creative use of their trademark here.
I do like it though.
Nuggets Nation, come at us! Sue us!
We'd actually have to be making money for them to sue us, so I think we're good.
Do it. True. I dare you, you cowards.
That's
Sue
true.
me.
Where have you been, Andre 3000? I want to see you in a courtroom. Let's go. Let's get this going here.
Dude's like walking around Japan with like a flute. I don't know if you've seen like the TikTok videos. He's just walking around Japan like fucking has a little flute that he plays. I don't know.
As always, get your Outcast talk in the NBA Finals preview episode here. That's what you guys are here for.
Yep.
Let's get it started here. Let's get it started. We are the SportsBudz. This is the NBA Finals preview episode. We have a SportsBudz NBA Finals matchup. I am your host, Tony Reyes. We've got Chris Billings representing the Nuggets and the Western Conference over there. And we've got Nick Chia Chia Kerr representing Heat culture and his Florida Panthers.
Yes.
Representing all of this South Beach sports love right now. How are you guys feeling today?
Feel good. This next five and a half hours can't go by fast enough.
I want to ask Billings because his Nuggets swept the Lakers and they have not played basketball in over a week. So
no, correction. They swept a phony team of phonies.
All right, get into it. How are you feeling? You don't think there will be any rust for that team not playing for a week?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I would say, if anything, the Nuggets need to come out hot on defense tonight. Because the Heat are they're gonna go for the killer blow tonight. So I think you just gotta play defense like a motherfucker, especially around the perimeter.
Is that what concerns you in this matchup?
Of course, yes. Of course. Like I'm not oblivious to what I've watched the Heat do the last like 3 rounds. It's unexplainable. It's basketball voodoo, but they could very well do it to the Nuggets, and yeah, like that's how it's gonna happen, is shooting threes.
I would say basketball voodoo is the best description of Heat culture that I have ever heard. Let's explain to the rest of us some of this basketball voodoo, Nick, and what you saw happen in this Heat Celtics series.
I mean, they came out hot the first few games, and then the shooting went cold. We let Boston get that first one in Miami. Then we went back up to Boston. They were still riding that high. And then that third game, that game 6, it was just a heartbreaker. It just shows the resiliency of this team to be able to come back from that disappointing loss in game 6 at the last 0.2 seconds to come back and play the way they did. I understand, Jason Tatum did hurt himself in the first play of that game, but their entire team just looked off.
Yeah, that was an ass whooping. And let's not get wrong. Like, Jason Tatum was out there the whole game. And it's not like they were actively working on his ankle throughout the game. So I don't really want to hear that excuse. Like, that happens in the NBA pretty frequently.
Yeah, I'm sure there was probably like 5 or 6 players on the court that day that had some kind of ankle injury in these playoffs.
Yeah,
no one's 100%.
No one's 100. I'd say your bigger issue is like Jaylen Brown can't go left. Like, he basically can't use one side of the court. But no, like that was an ass kicking that the Heat, and to come back from just like a heartbreaker, have to go back to Boston. Everybody's basically burying you at that point, saying like, oh, history's gonna be made. Like, first 3-0 comeback, and no, not even close.
Yeah. Because every team the Heat have played so far in these playoffs, on paper, has been clearly better than the Heat.
Not the
But
Knicks. Well, not the Knicks.
the way they finished the season, hot, on paper they were a
Yeah,
better
no.
team going into the playoffs.
I won't even go that far. Knicks suck.
Billings has got his ban. He's got a phony bin. The Lakers have been in there for a while. He's adding the Knicks. I don't know what other teams. I think the dog-ass Clippers and the dog-ass Bulls have been at the bottom of that bin for a while. I know because I'm a Bulls fan. But let's go ahead and get to my question here. Nick, Jimmy Butler wouldn't even hold up the Eastern Conference Finals trophy. Let's talk about his attitude going into his second NBA Finals. What are your concerns in this Nuggets matchup?
I mean, the length, the cohesion, just the way Joker and Murray play off each other, the defense, the 3-point shooting of Porter, the list goes on and on. This team was number 1 in the Western Conference for most of the year for a reason. They proved it so far in the playoffs. What they did to the Lakers, sweeping them 4-0. There's plenty of things that worry me about this team. Same things that worry me about the other teams the Heat's played. But Jimmy Butler just seems to be playoff Jimmy.
My next question is not about playoff Jimmy. It's about this. Who the hell is Caleb Martin? Where did you find him? What happened? Where did he come from?
You could think
like J. Cole makes some
Yes.
song in a tweet and Charlotte's like, peace. And all of a sudden you have like an all-pro shooting guard. I don't even know what's happening.
Yeah, J. Cole being friends with Caron Butler. He was working out in J. Cole's gym. Wanted him to, he called up Caron Butler, said, you need to see this guy. We had just played him the previous year in the playoffs, him and his brother Cody Martin. So the Heat have seen him, and they were playing in the same division. Brought him down for a tryout. He was basically didn't play most of the first 2 years that we've had him, but they saw enough to give him a 3-year, $20 million contract extension in the offseason, and it's been working out.
Yeah. All right.
Like, let's be honest, like that the Heat are just, I'm sorry for this comparison, Nick, but they are the Patriots of the NBA. Like, they just know how to find people
Yeah.
talent that's been discarded elsewhere that people take for granted and able to elevate that talent to different
Mhm.
levels. Like, you can't question it. Like, that culture hat is real.
Yeah.
Feel like you have your own version of that Caleb Martin guy in that Bruce Brown situation over there.
Mhm.
I will go ahead and ask this question for you, Nick. The Heat lose this series if fill in the blank.
There's plenty of ways they could lose the series. One would be Bam being absent again. We were able to get through it within the first couple rounds. That was another thing that happened in that Boston series. The first 3 games, Bam was coming out aggressive, and the whole team was behind that. So aside from obviously with Jimmy, but those last 4 games, he wasn't as aggressive. If he continues that way, the Heat will probably have no shot because of this bigger lineup. We need Bam to just go in there. I don't know if Spo's going to use a bigger lineup, maybe see some minutes with Bam at the 4. I don't know. There's just so much length on that Nuggets team.
There is. Fair. I'll give you the same question over there, Billings. The Nuggets lose this series if fill in the blank.
The Heat shoot over 45% from 3.
Perimeter defense, huh?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to, because like they certainly aren't gonna get it in the paint.
No. And if anything, that's the only thing that will only help Jimmy Butler if the Heat are shooting that well from distance. It'll open up those lanes.
Who guards Jimmy Butler on the Nuggets, Billings?
Aaron Gordon.
Aaron Gordon, huh?
Yes, he seems to be the only defender that gives Jimmy issues in the league. So yeah, and I mean, you've had Aaron Gordon on LeBron, you've had him on KD. He's ready for this moment.
That's an interesting choice. I don't know if I like that matchup personally. It seemed like when I watched Game 7 in the Heat Celtics series, the Celtics put Robert Williams on Jimmy Butler for a lot of that series, and he stopped doing his little like what was his little pump fakes and his little moves off 2 feet, and he seemed to really like figure out how to attack Robert Williams. So I'm not too sure if that's going to be the best matchup. I think maybe you're going to have some version of KCP. I think that might be a little bit better on Jimmy Butler personally. I think Aaron Gordon, I don't know if he has the foot speed to hold out on the perimeter. We'll see. You could be right.
Don't know if Jimmy Butler has the foot speed
Yeah, that's true.
at this point. Like that guy's been playing his ass off, and that's kind of what happened to him in the last finals, is he just ran out of juice.
Fair. That's true. That's true. Who do you think it's going to be Bam guarding Jokic, or do you think they have some other plan for them, Nick?
I think it's going to be a combination of players. You can't leave Jokic one-on-one against Bam. I think he has too much finesse and size, especially being able to shoot from outside, plus his passing ability. I think we see some kind of double, maybe some kind of variation of the zone coverage until Joker starts picking it apart.
Interesting. Okay, fair enough.
But I could see a combination of Bam and maybe Caleb Martin, Bam and maybe Jimmy helping on the side, but then that's going to leave probably Michael Porter open for three.
Or Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's the X factor for the series, Billings?
I'd say honestly at this point, Jamal Murray or Michael Porter Jr. Like one of them has to get hot. Like it needs to be a Murray flurry, or Michael Porter Jr. has to get hot with some of the mismatches that he's most likely going to have.
That is a good point. Who guards Michael Porter Jr. for the Heat, Nick?
It's got to be Caleb Martin. He's playing the 4. Either that or put in Jimmy.
How do you feel about this matchup? I don't feel good about that matchup. Man, Caleb Martin against Michael Porter Jr. We'll see.
He's got length. He caused some fits for Boston with his long arms.
He does.
I see a lot of mismatches, honestly, for the Heat against the Nuggets, but then at the same time, like they have Spo. He's probably at this point the best coach in the league, and I'm not gonna discredit any game plan he's gonna throw out. Like he very may well just say, I'm gonna let Joker cook and see if the rest of them can beat me with their shots.
Yeah.
Wow. It's interesting strategy.
Like, don't forget that like Joker's highest scoring game in these playoffs, like they lost.
No, I understand. He is a pick your poison player though, and if they just make him a scorer, I could see them using that strategy and shutting down the rest of the team. Like I think the Lakers tried to do that, and then Jamal Murray just was like, "I'm Jamal Murray. I'm here now, and I'm a player, and people have been overlooking me." So like that was the main thing I saw the Lakers try. So I could see the Heat try something similar to that, and maybe they can contain Murray a little better and hope he's not as hot, because when a shooter is like that, there really isn't any defense for him when they're that hot.
Flip side though, Austin Reeves also killed us, and the Heat have a lot of Austin Reeves on their team.
Speaking of a lot of Austin Reeves, talk to us about the Tyler Herro return, Nick.
I mean, he's been the last few games of that Boston series. He was on the court for warmups, taking his shots. I'm not sure if he's actually been cleared for contact within practice yet, but from everything I was hearing after Game 7, that there's a chance he comes back by Game 3, which that could be an X factor for the Heat, having that scoring coming off the bench, because I think Spo would probably stay with the same starting lineup that he has so far, and then he would just be added to the role players coming off the bench.
How does that change the series, in your opinion, Billings, the return of Tyler Herro? You mentioned the 3-point shooting being your biggest concern.
Yeah.
How does that change the series?
I mean, if Spo decides to go small and go strictly with shooters, you could see Herro getting involved, but at the same time, like I think he could be a deterrent to this team. Like they played better without him, I think.
I want you to talk a little bit more about this. What do you mean they play better without him?
They just looked like a more complete team.
Like on
Well,
defense?
I mean,
he only
yeah.
played 19 minutes in the playoffs. So
Yeah.
this team, their entire run
Even
has
from
been
what I've
without
seen
him.
this season, though, just being able to defer to people like Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, rather than Tyler Herro, I think has been a huge advantage for him.
I think that Gabe Vincent and Caleb Martin are much more, like you said, the Patriots. The Heat have a system. Those are system players. Like they know their role. They know their thing. They know their part in the system. Tyler Herro is kind of a freelancer, but that's a good thing. Sometimes he gets hot and he makes 6 threes and a half. You want that freelancer. I
Yeah.
think but that's the thing. I mean, his arrival in the bubble when he beat the Celtics in that playoff game by himself. And I mean, I think it could help. I don't know, man. I think I'm with Billings here. That size is going to be so problematic.
Yeah.
What do you think, Nick? You agree with
No,
this?
I completely agree. I've been saying the same exact thing. That length of that team, it's going to take Miami probably shooting 40-45% from three to have a chance in this series. And Tyler Herro is another player that could be coming off the bench, creating his own shots, coming down the court with that pull-up three. He has shot, I believe it's like 37 to 39% in his career from three. So I feel that it's just another weapon.
I would agree with that. I'd agree with that. Maybe it helps swing a game. Swing a game. I'm not sure yet. Interesting. So interesting. This matchup. This is going to be an interesting matchup.
It's going to be a great series.
I think so. The Nuggets have not faced a team like the Heat all playoffs, to be honest. Like the Heat play a different version of basketball than the rest of those Western Conference teams. The Lakers kind of had a little bit of similarity defensive wise, but their offense is entirely different.
This is what the Nuggets would have faced if they would have faced Golden State.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. You're right.
I'd have to agree with that.
You're right about that. Who's going to be the best player in this series, Billings?
I think we all know.
Okay.
Nikola Jokic for sure. That guy's just been on fire. I think even in a loss, like that guy's still going to be averaging a triple double and playing lights out.
Okay. Same question, Nick.
I mean, I'd have to agree with Chris because I mean this is player coming off 3 straight years where he's either been MVP or runner-up to MVP. He hasn't got any worse. What he's been doing in the playoffs, already averaging a triple-double, there's no reason to say that he's not going to be the best player in this series. The question is, how many other players on the Heat can play up to a better level? It's going to be you'll have your star players, Jimmy Butler and Jokic, playing very well. It's going to be a matter of the rest of the team for each.
Yep.
Interesting. So you think the Nuggets depth is gonna the Nuggets depth versus the Heat depth is what's gonna determine this series?
Which players get hot because both teams their rotations have been very efficient in this playoffs. I believe the Heat and the Nuggets are both like top 3, top floor in offensive efficiency so far in the playoffs.
That's true.
So as long as the benches still keep playing the way they have been, there's no reason to think that this shouldn't be a great series.
Yeah. At the same time, though, I think Nuggets and Heat are probably only going to have like 7-8 man rotations.
Yeah.
So for the Heat to win the series, they got to win a game in Denver. Denver's had the best home record this season, right?
8-0.
I'm not wrong. They haven't lost.
They have not lost.
Game. And I did see this kooky ass weird stat. Maybe you can explain it to me, Nick, where the last time the Heat beat the Nuggets was like
in Denver. Beat the Nuggets in Denver.
Yeah, in Denver.
10 years ago?
2016.
2016. What? Rodney McGruder was starting for the Miami Heat in that game. That's all I'm going to say. I had to look that up and be like, what? What's happening here? Yes. So, yeah, not a lot of success in Denver. do you think that comes into play here with them having home court here, Nick?
I mean, a lot's riding on this game one because it's two things colliding. The Nuggets have not lost at home, so that means they've won every game one. Heat have
Yes.
also won every game one on the road.
This is
Something's
true.
bound to give tonight.
The Nuggets are currently 8.5-point favorites
Mhm.
over the Heat. 8.5, I believe, is what it's at.
The Heat are used to
Maybe.
that.
That's a lot of points.
The Heat
I
were up
mean-
3-0, and they were still 8.5-point underdogs against the Celtics. This is nothing
You
new.
are correct. They have not had a good read on the Heat all season. And
I think ESPN, their analytics thing, I think it needs to be recalibrated.
Recalibrated. I say we've just fire them. Just fire them. Recalibrated. I don't even know, Nick. They had a 3% chance to beat the Celtics, and they won that series. So I mean, they won more games than the percent chance they were given. So I would say that just fire them. That is a lot of points. 9 points is a lot in a game one.
Yeah.
I did also see teams coming off of game 7, though, are like 3-7 against the spread in their game one. But we'll see. We'll see in the next series in the game one. We'll see what happens. I do think that's a lot of points, but Denver's weird, man. They're a weird team. They get on these runs, and then it's like the elevation hits the second half. All of a sudden, Bruce Brown is making fucking cuts on a fast break, and it's no longer a 4-point lead. It's 11. And you're like, what the fuck is happening? And then Jamal Murray's coming around the screen, and their two-man game is deadly.
Yep.
But I know Jimmy Butler is going to have a playoff Jimmy performance in one of these games. He'll probably score 40 or 50 points. I have no doubt about that. One of these games, he's probably going to do that. I don't know if the Heat win that game. I think it is possible that Jimmy Butler is the best player in this series, and they still lose. And people are like, yeah, he scored 40 twice. He had like a 40-point triple-double, and they lost in overtime, and they lost the series. Like, I could see that happening. But, like, Billings it could be the Jokic arrival. And it seems like there really hasn't been anyone that could guard him. He had his way with Anthony Davis last series. He pretty much was making fall away buzzer beater threes multiple games. So I mean, he might just be at that moment where it's his time and he's ascended. But I am intrigued because I know there's going to be a playoff Jimmy game in here, and it could be this game. It could be game one. I don't know when it will be. Let's talk.
You can't discount the Heat. That's all.
Who wins game one, Billings?
Whoever scores more points.
Let's take a look. I'm pulling it up right now. This is very shockingly even here on these betting splits I'm looking at. Heater plus 295 on the underdog money line, and it's like 50-50 almost, 60-40 for the betting splits, which is pretty interesting to me when you have an underdog at plus 295. What does that imply? 77% that the Nuggets are going to win. So, I mean, that's a pretty if you think the Heat are going to win this game more than 23% of the time, you probably should bet on the Heat on the money line. Like you said, 8.5 points is a lot, Chris.
Yeah.
It's pretty evenly split on that. Who do you got for game one?
Nuggets. I mean, yeah.
Do they cover?
I don't think they do. I think it's a close game.
Nick?
I'm going to go Heat.
You think the Heat steal this first game?
I think it's possible.
I agree. I would if
the way they have came out in game one so far in these playoffs, they've came out and shocked teams. Every single one of those game ones, they were expected to lose and lose by double digits, close to.
I could very well see that.
Let's see if they have one more in them.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'd say the difference probably with the Nuggets is the Nuggets probably have a lot more respect for the Heat coming into this than
I agree.
any of the other opponents had for the Heat.
Yeah. I could see that if the Heat come out hot and they come out fast, and the Nuggets are a little rusty because they haven't played in a week, and maybe the Heat steal this game close. I could very well see that, Nick. I'm going to agree with Billings, however. I think the Nuggets win this game, and I don't think they cover, though. I agree with him. I don't think they cover. I think it's probably about a 4-point game. I think it's close.
Which would go with how this series went so far in the regular season, because I believe the Nuggets won both games by 5.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you think there's any bad blood left over from that incident with
No,
Jokic?
Jimmy's already came out and said that there's nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think these teams respect each other.
It's more
It's
my
not like the other series they've had in these playoffs.
it's more my understanding, like the Miami Heat's beef was with an assistant coach that's no longer with the Nuggets.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Markieff Morris is no longer with the Heat as well. So
My concern for the Heat, do you see the zone against the Nuggets in this game, Nick?
yeah,
Ugh, goodness. I don't like that. That's no if
hey,
they
they're
bust
they're
that
10
zone
minutes
out.
away from the most zone minutes in a NBA playoffs in NBA history. So I say yes, we see the zone, even if it's for a couple possessions, we're still gonna see it.
I see Michael Porter Jr. shooting right now. He hasn't even gotten the ball, and I've seen him
Yeah,
rising up for three. Like oh my god,
the
they're
key to
gonna do it.
defeating
You're
the
right.
zone is having someone good in the center. And who do you guys have in the center?
Exactly. You're right. You are 100% right, Nick. They are going to put a zone out there because Jokic, he eats on anyone. So I don't think there's anyone that can really
Yeah,
guard him. So, man, Michael Porter.
I don't. Spoelstra's going to throw a lot of different things out there. Just see what sticks.
You're right.
Make
You're right.
adjustments.
Yeah, you'll most definitely see the zone in this series, and I think that's going to be what they're going to try and do is swarm them in the paint, make them kick it out, and then hope that MPJ is cold, that he doesn't
Mhm.
make that shot, and that you get the rebound.
The one thing that I was the most wrong about with the Nuggets was their team defense and how good they are as a team with their rotations. Like I mentioned Bruce Brown. I fucking love watching that dude. He is a fucking hawk. He is a wizard defensively, always in the right place. So you think Aaron Gordon on Jimmy Butler? Like, I want to talk to you more about how they guard the Heat because the Heat are such a weird freaking offense, man. Like, how? So you're just putting Jokic on Bam and you're putting Gordon on Jimmy, and who's guarding Caleb Martin? Michael Porter Jr. in the length guarding Caleb Martin. How did the Nuggets guard the Heat, Billings? Let's talk about that because this is something that I think that gets overlooked for the Nuggets is how good their team defense is.
I think it's just that they're gonna swarm them in the perimeter, and they're gonna make Bam beat them.
Okay.
Like even so that you will see Joker pull out into the perimeter and leave Bam wide open in the paint. I legit think you will see those opportunities.
Dang it. They're going to have such an advantage on the boards, Nick. They are going to have such an
I
advantage.
mean, we've been out rebounded most of these playoffs already. So
That's true.
because we dealt with the length of Milwaukee, which also to a degree with Boston. And I think the Knicks even had some length with Randall and their center.
Okay.
So we've been all playoffs.
All right. This is an interesting question. We'll go ahead and say that Jokic and Jimmy Butler are the top two players. Who are the next two best players in this series, in your opinion, Nick?
Who do I think will be at the end of the series or who going in?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hoping for the same kind of performance that Caleb Martin put in the Eastern Conference Finals. And then, of course, you got Jamal Murray on the other side, who's, I believe it's 5 games in a row over 25?
Yeah. Nick, all right, Billings. Who are the third and fourth best players in this series?
Probably Jamal Murray and I mean Michael Porter Jr. No disrespect to the Heat players.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. That's
And
fair.
if Bam had played better in these playoffs, I would have probably had him at 4.
Okay, that's fair. Give me your series prediction, Nick. How does this series play out?
I'm not afraid of it. Heat in 6.
Heat
I
in
think
6.
I think they find a way to steal one in Denver and win all 3 games at home.
Fair? Wow. Man, that would be very impressive. Billings, how does the series play out?
I'm gonna say Nuggets in 5.
Nuggets in 5, confident. Dang. Wow.
Which
Okay.
is weird for a Nuggets fan.
Hey, at
Yeah.
least he didn't say Nuggets in 4.
No. I think
That's true.
Jimmy will get at least one, but this Nuggets team looks awesome right now. And if they come in with the same momentum they've had these playoffs tonight, I think easily could be a five game series.
I have the tie-breaking vote here, and I'm going to say I've got Nuggets in 6. I'm sorry, Nick. I think that Herro returns and swings it, and they win 2 games because of it. But I think Jamal Murray has a breakout series, to be honest, and I'm betting on him to win NBA Finals MVP because I seen the odds they're like at 12-1 or something at DraftKings, and I just think that this dude he encompasses the Nuggets. Not an all-star, somehow overlooked, and like I watched what he did to the Lakers. It's 30. It's 30. It's 30. And he's just Bubble Murray's back. Like he's reached that. And I think he just ascends, and I think he wins finals MVP and swings the series for the Nuggets. That's where I am. I think Michael Porter Jr. has a breakout game though, but I think that like I said, I think it's possible that Jimmy Butler is the best player in the series, but they still don't win. That's where we are.
I will say this though, if Nuggets do end up losing to the Heat, like I won't be as sour as some other teams because like it would be a truly historic run.
Yeah. Wow.
Like you won't be able to deny that if they win it. It's like
Yeah, because
probably the most historic run ever. So
I mean,
Yeah.
I feel the same way. If the Heat lose to the Nuggets, I won't be as mad or upset or disappointed as if I would have watched them play the Lakers again. And I'm sure you feel the same way. If you
yeah,
were
if
playing
it would have
Boston
been the
right now,
Celtics, I would have been pissed.
So were you wanting to play the Heat or were you wanting to play the Celtics, Billings?
The Heat. Just even seeing what their fans did in that series and already having to deal with LA fans. Like, yes, thank God. No.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Celtics fans are just like Lakers fans. Like I agree with you on this. Yes, that's very similar. You guys were both offline. We had a text where I said I've seen the Houston Rockets be more successful in my life as a 36-year-old man than the Boston Celtics. And Billings was like, "Yep, okay, that tracks. I can't believe it." So yes. Nick, what were your thoughts on this Nuggets Lakers series?
I think the Nuggets did what they were supposed to do. They sent LeBron home in 4, kept chugging along. They didn't play with their food.
Man, that is true. That is true.
They've done what Nuggets teams have never done in the past. They just put their head down, went to work, and rose to expectations.
Yeah. Yeah, that was very impressive. The Heat, super impressive. And I'm excited for this series. It should be a good one. Well-coached teams. I don't know where Michael Malone is going to create some type of us versus them, me against the world mentality that he's got going on now, but he'll find a way. He'll find something to upset the Nuggets team so they can rally around it. I'm confident about that. Spoelstra, I'm surprised he didn't suit up after that buzzer beater in game 6. He was ready to go. Holy shit. I was like, dude, this guy is ready. They're ready to play another game right now. You pretty much beat the Celtics 5 out of 7 games in that series. So yes, I'm really excited to see this series. It should be a good one. Let's go ahead and take 2 minutes here. We'll talk about the NBA draft since we didn't get to. Any thoughts on this French boy going to San Antonio, Billings?
That's like, come on. Those are the moments where you say the NBA's rigged. Like,
I was waiting for it. I was teeing you up waiting for it. NBA rigged, Nick? NBA rigged.
I'd have to say yes. What, the Spurs aren't good for a year or two, and now they get the number 1 pick?
Yeah, just
they gave Zion to the Pelicans, so like they had to end up giving like this guy to someone. Like, and like you said, the Spurs, this was like the first 2 years they didn't make the playoffs. All of a sudden, ping pong balls. Yes.
they're like, sorry you couldn't get Jokic. when he was drafted. So here's an even better player. Yeah.
So I'm glad we were all in agreement. NBA rigged this. You're welcome, San Antonio. You're now gonna be a relevant franchise. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Every time I think of the NBA draft and I think of those ping pong balls, I think of like Ocean's 11 where they like rigged the dice.
I mean,
So that's honestly what I think is happening. Someone's in a ping pong factory, just like rigging this shit.
there's just a random. That's not the actual ball that goes in. They got some other random one that comes out.
R.I.P. David Stern, Adam Silver. You're just getting shit on all kinds. Nobody respects you. Certainly not John Morant, and certainly not this podcast, the Sports Buds, as we claim that the NBA lottery was rigged. I mean, just add that lawsuit to the Stankonia one that Chris Billings is facing over there.
But
I mean, all three of us picked the winner of the draft lottery the last 2 years. We all had the same pick. I mean,
yes.
At some point, obviously, we're not that smart. Other people got to be onto this.
How is Jaylen Brown eligible for a max contract and he doesn't know how to dribble? How does he not know how? I can dribble better than him. I think I can dribble better than him. I can dribble better than Jaylen Brown right now. Like how? I don't understand that.
Someone's gonna pay him though.
You're right. You're right.
They're out here paying Monty Morris. Somebody will pay Jaylen Brown.
All right. All right. I guess we should wrap it up. We should wrap it up right there. We got anything to add? Anything you guys want to go ahead and share before we go ahead and get out of here?
Put some in the comments. Let us know who you think's gonna win this series.
That's right.
Let us know you're out there.
Yep. Let us know you're out there.
Predictions.
Like, share, comment, favorite. Tell us that we're wrong. That's usually this guy. But tell us in the comments why we are wrong and if you are right. We'll go ahead and we'll take a look. We'll take a look and see how you guys are doing. That's all for the Sports Buds. I got nothing else. I'm excited to see the Sports Buds finals. One of these two is going to have a parade in a couple of weeks. Should be pretty exciting. Look at them just trying to like process that in their minds and love the thoughts of that.
Technically, both of us could have a parade.
That is true.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for 1 out of 2.
That is true.
But
that is true. Knicks, Florida Panthers are in the Stanley Cup, another 8 seed, shitting all over Boston.
Yep.
And getting to the Stanley Cup final against the Vegas Golden Knights.
Both teams winning a Game 7 in TD Garden.
Love to see it.
That's true. Miami teams winning more games in that arena than Boston teams. You love to see that. You love to see that. You love to hear that. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for listening. We are the Sports Buds. You guys have yourself a wonderful one.
Woo! Go Nuggets.